How's it going, everyone? College Lefty, and in this video I'm going to be breaking down some hitting tips, some pitching tips. I'm also going to be going over my settings, and that's what the screenshot is right here. My batting and base running settings, feel free to pause it on this screen. I'm not going to go in depth too much, but I did have my in-play view set at medium. I didn't really like the original view. One thing on this screen I would keep in mind is pitch delay when you're playing against a computer, grinding out moments and everything. You want pitch delay on faster. The opponent will, the computer will throw pitches much quicker without having to come set and wait a little bit extra time, which is definitely a good tip to keep in mind. Fielding, I use button accuracy. I think that's a must. General, I just leave it pretty much blank. The only thing I changed here was warm-up relievers. I switched that from on to off. It just helps when you're grinding missions or playing again in those situations where you have to pitch and where you take out your pitcher and then you have to throw warm-up pitches. It basically just makes the guy come in ready. What I'm basically going through really quickly is I went into custom practice. I'm using the settings that I just showed you in this custom practice, so everything's on legend. You can kind of create your own play. So here I'm facing Jack Morris with the Bombers. No, this is the Boomers team. So they have a few of the legend teams. You can kind of use some guys that you don't necessarily have. So I'm using a different version of Ricky Henderson. I'm using a variety of different guys. The one thing I really like about this mode is the fact that you can kind of create your own play. Like I mentioned a little bit ago, you can set the batter that you want to hit with up to bat. You can face the pitcher that you want to face. You can really like set up a situation. If you want to focus on getting the guy in from third base with less than 2 outs, then you can set that situation up. That's the current situation that we're in right now anyway. But you can actually create that without having to hit the triple or getting a couple base hits. So if you're struggling like me last night on my Twitch stream, which I will have the gameplay highlights uploaded a little bit later tonight, if you were struggling like me scoring runs, I wasn't struggling hitting the ball, but struggling scoring some runs, I could kind of practice that here. This helps me get my pitch timing down on various pitches in the zone on faster pitch speeds. You can kind of mix up the sliders if you want, turn up the pitch speeds even faster. And that's something I did in MLB The Show 18 was I turned the pitch speeds all the way up in the settings similar to the just the sliders, and put them all the way up, and I was trying to take batting practice in preparation for this game and preparation for a couple tournaments I was playing in. But this definitely gives me a good glimpse of what legend pitch speeds look like. This is actually the first time I've ever hit on legend difficulty in this game, and I got to use a version of Griffey here. Different guys. I mean, Joe Morgan was in there. Got to test his swing out a little bit. These aren't necessarily the same ratings that you're going to get when it comes to Diamond Dynasty, because these are the cards that if you were to enter like a franchise with fantasy draft, then these would be the legends that would be allowed to be drafted or available to use in those. But this is definitely a good way to warm up. I am going to be breaking down some pitching tips here in a little bit. Just wanted to show you guys the different, I guess, PCI placements. It helps me be more disciplined at the plate. I noticed that my first few games that I was playing in this game, I was swinging at everything. I was just really excited for the new game to come out, you know, and I was having a tough time reading balls and strikes out of the pitcher's hand. There I thought I squared that one up with Reggie, but it kind of allows me to analyze the feedback a little bit more without having to play a full game online versus somebody. It's just a great way to kind of, if you haven't played the game in a while, just hop on this, take some BP, practice, warm up a little bit, and this should increase your ability to hit with zone hitting, online play, in Battle Royale, online, even against the computer if you're grinding out moments and you're struggling with, let's say, the 4 home runs with Babe Ruth in 3 games or something, and you want to try and hit with Babe Ruth, warm up with them a little bit before you actually go into that moment, then this is something that you could do. I'm sure you could find Babe Ruth on one of the, you know, the mid-century Groundbreakers team, or there's a variety of teams you can use, live series players, you can use live teams. I think you might even be able to use minor league teams in this, but I haven't necessarily tried it. One thing I noticed right off the bat from playing this game is that the PCI does not extend to outside of the strike zone as far as it did in MLB The Show 18. Also, another thing I noticed is when you're actually moving the PCI around inside of the strike zone, it doesn't move around as quickly. It's a little bit more delayed. Not saying that it's slow or anything. It's a little bit more like MLB The Show 16, 17, those games that I first started playing when I started playing MLB The Show the series. The next thing I want to talk about is kind of my approach at the plate, especially with this game, and noticing how I was late on a lot of pitches. I tried to start my PCI near where the pitcher releases the ball, or at least up in the zone, sometimes inside depending on the hitter. And it's really personal preference. I mean, where you set the PCI, what you do before the pitch is thrown. I try to move the PCI around the zone at least a little bit to try to like warm up my finger a little bit to move it and see how the PCI is moving before the pitch is thrown. Kind of gives me just kind of a little bit of a warm-up, if that makes sense. Kind of swirl that thing around in a circle. I do use Control Freaks. I use Blue Omni Control Freaks to help me with my PCI placement, and I use them on the pitching side of things as well. I use them for analog pitching. I use them on really for any game. I use them for shooting games, any type of video game I'm playing. I'm just used to the Control Freaks. Ever since I got them, I became used to them. So I'm definitely going to continue on using those. A lot of people ask me if I do use Control Freaks or what I do to improve my game in this. And really all I try to do is just practice like this if I have the time. But I definitely wanted to break down a hitting tutorial, a pitching tutorial video for you guys. And we're almost into the pitching part. At the end of this video, I will also have a kind of an overview of the newest event that was just released. There is an 85 overall Cliff Floyd reward, and I'll be going into that in a little bit more depth a little bit later on. But I just wanted to focus on kind of how I've been hitting the ball a little bit better. As this video's gone on, I've definitely made better contact. My timing is much improved from what it was online, even from last night. But here I'm showing you guys what you actually do to create a play. So you can select the count that you want, how many outs, whether runners are on base or not, whether it's a repeat play. But here, right here, you guys notice the overlay stickers coming on the screen. I'm pulling down on my right analog stick, and then at that gold meter, I am trying to hit the hoop. So wherever the hoop is, depending on if I'm throwing the ball outside to a left-handed batter or inside to a left-handed batter, I'm going to be aiming for that hoop. And sometimes I pull down a little bit diagonally to the opposite side of what I'm trying to hit. But if you notice, right next to the arrows, to the left of those arrows where they were, if you noticed how the outside of the meter there turns either yellow, red, sometimes it's like a light green color. What I think that means is how hard you're pressing the analog stick up. So right there was more of a control pitch. I didn't really launch the right stick up on my controller, so I didn't have the red feedback like I did on that one. Notice how that pitch kind of hung a little bit more. It was thrown with more break, and it was thrown a little bit harder, but it kind of hung over the plate a little bit more than I would have liked to for a blinking good pitch. And what I mean for a blinking good pitch is when you hit that yellow meter and the ball icon is blinking towards the actual yellow meter is blinking, just like it was on that last pitch. Sometimes the ball icon will start to move a little bit as you go for the hoop. That time I just nailed it good with the hoop. I didn't get a blinking good feedback, which how I would state that is a 1-to-1 pitch, which means I hit the hoop and I hit the meter and I hit the hoop exactly where I was trying to locate that pitch to where I threw it. Those specific pitches are going to be much tougher to hit. If you miss early on the meter at all, the pitch is going to be higher up in the zone. If you miss with just late feedback on the actual gold part of the meter, that means you moved up on your analog stick slightly late, and that's going to cause your pitch to be lower in the zone. So if I'm going for a strikeout pitch like right here, I would want to miss just late, if anything, like I did right there. And as you can see, the pitch was below the zone on the outside corner. It does give me a 3-2 count now. So now I'm trying to hit good feedback with the changeup, and he fouls it off there. I mean, the computer on Legend is almost impossible to strike out anyway. But I just wanted to use this as an example of how to use analog pitching, how to approach it, and kind of what I realized while I'm pitching. So there I tried to throw a sinker on the inside corner. I started on the inside half, but I missed over the middle of the plate on the up part of the analog stick. I missed when I launched that thing up, and it went right over the middle on line. Those are the type of pitches where if you miss the hoop, those pitches are definitely easier to hit. I give up a lot more extra base hits, home runs that way. And that's exactly how the game should be. I mean, it's all user input based. If I miss my spot on my pitch right there, like that, early feedback and miss the hoop, it's going to be not even close to where I pitched it, especially on Legend. As we move up in difficulties, the more you miss, the more significant it impacts the pitch. So there I was able to get the strikeout on a pitch that I missed over the plate, but that's where the control factor and the walks per nine comes into play. Sometimes with a higher control pitcher, even if you miss the zone, miss the hoop, he's still going to throw it in the general area because he does have high control, high walks per nine, stuff like that. All those things factor in. I think walks per nine allows you to get blinking good feedback more often than pitchers with lower walks per nine, as well as when you do get blinking good feedback, depending on the hits per nine, Ks per nine, all those other stats, that's going to come into play then. But I really think having your settings and having these specific settings are the most important thing to becoming a more consistent player. Even though I'm not the most consistent player, I'm inconsistent at the plate. Sometimes I struggle locating pitches. These settings give me the best chance to succeed in this game. The reason why I use the strike zone camera that I do use is because I want to try to pick the ball up out of the pitcher's hand. Seeing the whole hitter actually messes me up a lot more than anything else. I focus on looking at the hitter sometimes, so that's why I don't necessarily have a camera angle that shows the entire hitter. The reason why I use the same camera angle for pitching as I do hitting is because it allows me to kind of visualize how the pitches are coming in the zone while I'm pitching as well. So that way when I go up to bat, my camera angles are the same, everything looks the same coming in, and it doesn't, it's not mixing up my angle from looking from behind the pitcher. I can see the base runners on base if they're trying to steal. To put it in more of a simple form, I guess what it would allow me to do is get into more of a rhythm while I play this game. Try to be as consistent as possible while I'm hitting and pitching. Having the same view just really minimizes all the extra variables that go into it. It helps me on defense as well. When balls are put into play like this and I get the camera angle, I can see where the ball's actually going right off of the bat. Sometimes when I'm looking from behind the pitcher, it's a little bit more challenging to do that, and sometimes I end up running the wrong way because say the ball's hit to the left side, it looks like it's on the right side to me, so I run to the right and then he misses the ball. And with the way fielding is, I need all the help I could possibly get. I guess really what I focused on was personalizing my settings to my preference, the stuff that best fits me and my play style and how I approach the game. So if you guys do this and you have different settings, that's perfectly fine. I'm not saying like this is what you have to have. I'm just letting you know that this is what works for me. This is what I've been using for a few years now, and I've been able to make World Series this way. But this is what I was talking about when I was talking about the event. The new event reward is Cliff Lee at 20 wins. These are 3-inning games with max team overall at 75. You can use gold to common hitters and silver to common pitchers. This event ends in about 10 days or so, April 8th. So definitely key to keep this in mind that this is going to be going on. I have not got a chance to play it yet, but the rewards are pretty good. I mean, if you win 12 wins without losing 2 games, you do get an 85 to 89 overall diamond. And one other thing I wanted to talk about was Conquest. I talked a little bit about how to unlock Ty Cobb before the game was released, and I was 100% correct on my video with that. But also I did show a screenshot of the Keith Hernandez map, and that is not available right now. So that probably will be released later on in the season. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'm College Lefty, and if you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. Peace out.